Hey, welcome to Hanging with Christy, and this is our first video. We're going to be making apples and onions braised pork tenderloin with roasted sweet potatoes. It's going to be 2 Pinterest recipes. So for the first pork tenderloin, what you would need is 2 apples, 2 green apples, at least 1.5 pork tenderloin, olive oil, salt and pepper. You will also need chicken stock, unsweetened apple juice, apple cider vinegar. That's what you'll need for the pork tenderloin. For the sweet potatoes, you'll need at least 2 sweet potatoes, salt, pepper, olive oil, ground cumin, paprika, garlic powder, chili, salt and pepper. All right, we're also gonna preheat our ovens to 425, and I'm also going to preheat my cast iron skillet. So let's do this. Okay, so because we're gonna be roasting sweet potatoes, I'm going to start with that first. So what we're going to do is we're going to peel our sweet potatoes. It has already been pre-washed, and peeling the sweet potato helps caramelize the potato. At least that's what it says on Pinterest. Is that true? I don't know, we'll find out because I've actually never peeled my sweet potatoes. Normally when I make sweet potatoes, I actually make it with my pork tenderloin. So this is the first time that I'm not actually cooking it together. So I had to find a recipe that was kind of the same to what my family's kind of used to. So we're just gonna go ahead and peel away. And excuse me for my OCD. I tried really hard to get it all off. I'm so excited. So I decided to go with pork tenderloin because my family really enjoys pork tenderloin. We never really have an issue with it. And secretly, I didn't want my first video not to be kid friendly. So let's see how it goes. Never made this before. Normally when I make my pork tenderloin, I'll either cook it in the oven for about an hour long, or I'll use this device. It's called a sous vide. And what that is you pretty much submerge your meat in a vacuum sealed bag in water. And it's kind of like a new innovation of crock pot. You cook it for about a good 45 minutes. It's at the desired temperature that you need it. And it stays that way for a good 4 hours. So that's typically how I cook my pork tenderloin. So let's see how this comes out. Throw this to the side. So with the sweet potatoes, you're gonna wanna try to get them in cube form. So after you peel it, you're going to slice your sweet potatoes in circles. And then from there, what we will do is get them into cube form. So make sure you have your cutting board, get your nice circles. I have a family of 5, so if you need to use 1 sweet potato, scale it down by all means. With these sweet potatoes, they take about 30 minutes to cook. So, and every 10 to 15 minutes, you kind of want to shake it up, which I never do. So I'm really curious about this because I've always wondered why they never come out pretty like the picture. Could be why, because I never shake it up. Just cut both ends of sweet potatoes like so. And then again to our circles. I never used to be a big sweet potato lover until our family started going in the healthy route of eating. So a lot of the recipes you'll see me make for the next, I'd say about 2 weeks, dinner-wise, will be a Whole30 paleo, maybe some variation of keto diet for health reasons. We go that route. My husband suffers from psoriasis, so we try to eliminate as much sugar, dairy in our meals as possible. Plus, since the pandemic, we tried to eliminate as much carbs, bready carbs, to help us on the weight. And then on the weekends, which is our cheat days, we'll go crazy, like pizza, burgers, etc. So now that we have our circles, we're gonna just go ahead and start making cubes. Clearly the ends won't be cubes, but that's okay. I would say whatever size this is what you're looking for. Good luck with that. I'm just gonna dump them in a bowl over here on the side. If you do your circles not as thick, they tend to cook more evenly, all of them. Doesn't have to be perfect. Something that looks like a square. Do not judge my knifing skills because they are not perfect. By all means, not perfect at all. So we're just gonna continue cutting these sweet potatoes into squares, and I'm gonna top them in the bowl. Once I'm done with this, I'll show you the measurements that we need to season the sweet potatoes. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, so we already cut all of our sweet potatoes into cubes. What we're going to do is now we're going to season them. And we're going to use 2 tablespoons of olive oil. So let's do that. And you're just gonna pour it on top. 1, 2. Then we're going to do 3/4 in salt. This specific recipe asks for sea salt, so let's go ahead and try it out. Three-fourths. And then we need 1/4 of pepper. Pour a little back since some fell into the bowl. And then we need 1/2 teaspoon of chili powder, paprika, ground cumin, and garlic powder. Oops. My lid fell. See, so we got paprika, chili powder, and then we're gonna do some ground cumin or cumin, whatever you want to call it. Pretty sure it's called cumin. And sorry, my lid was giving me difficulties. And then we have our garlic powder, which is like an everyday essential in our household. They don't know it, but it is. Once you have everything in there, that's some extra olive oil that was in the bowl. We're gonna go ahead and toss it. I'm gonna get crazy and I'm just gonna use my hands because real cooking is getting nasty and dirty. Also, I would like to feel all the sweet potato seasoned this way. Alright, I'm just gonna go ahead nice and easy. Make sure everything looks coated. Perfect. Now, I got the pan. We're gonna pour them into a pan, and then we're gonna put it in the oven at 425. And every 10 minutes for the next 30 minutes, we are going to shake it up. Wow. Remember, nice and raw. Nothing's perfect. The idea is to make sure they aren't on top of each other. But unfortunately, since I will be using the oven for the braised pork tenderloin, I have to use my conventional oven. So unfortunately, these babies are going to be touching each other and they're not going to come out as perfect as I want them, but it's going to get the job done. So I'm going to pop these in the oven and then I'll come back and we'll start prepping for the braised pork tenderloin. Okay, I wasn't sure if you guys missed me or not, so here's my face. So what we're going to do is we're going to peel some onions and we're gonna slice them 1/4 inch thick. Then we're going to core the apple and we're gonna slice that as well 1/4 inch thick for the pork tenderloin. In addition to searing our pork tenderloin. So in the meantime, what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull this out. We're gonna sprinkle some kosher salt and pepper. And I'm gonna get my cast iron preheated to a medium-high heat and get this bad boy cooking, all right? So, I'll see you in a little bit. All right, so as you can see, I already started to peel my onion. What I did is I sliced both ends, and then from there we went ahead, cut it in half and peeled it because it's easier. And I do either the top layer or the actual first thing of an onion, whatever is easier to come off. Now I wanted to do this live for you, that way you guys can really hear the waterworks. I heard that with onions, if you put it in the freezer for a few minutes and then decide to cut it, you're less likely to win an Academy Award for Best Crier. So I didn't do that because I don't have one yet. So I need an Academy Award or an Emmy. Either would be fine. So we're supposed to do these 1/4 inch thick. I'm not doing a very good job at following the directions, but we'll see. I personally think this is way too much onion, but for you guys today, I'm going to follow each step correctly. That way we can really see if it comes out the way the picture. See if the food comes out like the picture on Pinterest. Whew. I don't know. Again, these were medium yellow onions. My favorite onion is the red onion, which should technically be called the purple onion. So whoever came up with that was on another level. I'm not much of an onion person, but those red onions, my brother-in-law had showed them to me with some sweet peppers. They were like red, orange, and yellow. And I swear, that's when I fell in love with red onions. They are so stinking good. So amazing. So, if you don't eat pork, I apologize. My next one will be chicken. And if you don't eat meat and you're vegan, I'm gonna have to make that peppers. The pepper and onion, because that is vegan friendly. Something for everyone, huh? So in the meantime, I do have my cast iron preheating. And we are going to start prepping for this amazing braised pork tenderloin, which looks good in the picture. We'll see how it comes out. Now that the onions are all sliced, I'm gonna cheat a little bit, and with the apple, I'm gonna use my apple slicer. And then from there, I'm going to cut it again. So let's slice it, and then I'll just cut these apples in half. And in my eyes, that will be 1/4 inch thick. I don't even think my onions are 1/4 inch thick, but hey, what are you gonna do? Alrighty, so let's get this cutting. Pull that core out and let's slice. I'm really excited. I'm kind of sad my daughter was supposed to be here, but due to certain difficulties that happened over the weekend, we had to start our first video on Wednesday, and she had prior arrangements with her father to go to the river. So she's having a great time. She's sad that she can't help right now, but I'm pretty sure she's not really hurting. So this is the size that they're coming out. That looks like 1/4 inch, right? We're in Texas, everything's bigger. So once we finish prepping all of the veggies and fruit, we will season our pork tenderloin and we will start searing away. I'm just gonna put these aside so I have room on my cutting board to cut this other half of the apple. And for the sake of time, oh, Alexa, timer off. So it's been 10 minutes since the sweet potatoes have been in the oven, so I'm gonna just toss that real quick and get back to finish prepping the braised pork tenderloin. Okay, so just to show you, for the first 10 minutes, this is what they look like. We're just gonna give it a nice little shake. I'm gonna use some tongs to toss it, and I'm gonna put it back in the oven for another 10 more minutes. All right, so I put another second timer with Alexa for 10 minutes for those sweet potatoes so we can shake them up again. I'm gonna finish slicing these apples a 1/4 inch, and then we're gonna get to the fun stuff when it comes to searing the pork tenderloin. Which would be exciting. The sweet potatoes are nice and soft already. So we've been doing this diet probably since June. No, I would say the end of May, middle May. And sweet potatoes have become my new thing. I never really used to like them at all. And because I've taken out like French fries, fried food, I had went to a restaurant with my sister-in-law and I got some catfish at LA Crawfish, and I ordered sweet potatoes because that was the healthiest thing that I could see outside of regular fries. And oh my God, those sweet potatoes tasted like a funnel cake. I don't know if it's because I just didn't have anything sweet for such a long time, but it was so good. Okay, so this pork tenderloin's already cut in the middle. And what we're going to do is we're just gonna sprinkle some salt and pepper on each loin. And because it's already cut in the middle, I'm going to go ahead and tie it. That way it doesn't come apart when we're searing it in the iron cast skillet. So let me go ahead and get some butcher rope and get prepped for this. Okay, so let's go ahead and sprinkle some pepper. It gives me a amount that I'm supposed to use. I'm supposed to use 1 teaspoon. But oh well. And then for the salt, I like to use kosher salt. Anytime I'm dealing with meat or a protein is probably a better way of saying that. And we're just gonna do a nice sprinkle all on it. Flip it. The other side. Sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle. Oops, that was a lot of salt. Scrape, scrape, scrape. That's how it's gonna taste the best. Okay. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna use this butcher rope and we are gonna put these bad boys together. That way it doesn't fall off when you're cooking it in your cast iron. And I don't remember how it came, but I'm gonna do it that way. One skinny end on one side, one skinny end on the other. So a long time ago I had learned how to do this. I don't know if it's the correct way anymore, but pretty much what you do is you measure the length of it, double it, and a little more. So let's go ahead and cut it. Go ahead and cut it. And then we're gonna put the rope slightly under. I don't remember how to properly tie this, so no judging. I'm just gonna do it to get the job done. There is a proper way, but I do not remember. So then What I'm going to do, since I tied a knot here, I'm pretty much gonna make a loop as such, put it through the pork tenderloin, like that, tie it, make another loop, and it automatically keeps it together. I don't have to do any more knots. It does it all on its own. Loop it. Do you see what I'm doing? See how there's a loop? See? Loop. And then put it right through. If you get your pork tenderloin through the butcher box, apparently it comes whole, which I thought that's what I was getting right now because it said whole, but it's not. Okay, so that should be good. I'm gonna go ahead and tie it right here. And that should keep it together so it doesn't fall apart. Oh, look at that. That is what we didn't want. That's how you know I'm not a professional. Let's try it again. That's how you know this is real, uncut, raw cooking. Let's see if I can put it in there. Okay. So now what we're gonna do is, since our cast iron is now nice and hot, we're gonna put 1 tablespoon of olive oil in there, and then we are going to start searing this on all sides. All right, so let's go over there and start cooking. Okay, so now we're over here at the stove, and my pan was a little too preheated, so we have a little bit of smoke coming on, but that's perfect because that's how you know we're gonna really get it seared. About 1 to 2 minutes on each side. That way we get that nice color we're looking for on the pork tenderloin, because the remainder of it is really gonna get cooked in the oven. So this is some real stuff here with all that smoke going on. I'm just gonna rotate it. And get a nice, beautiful color. You'll be able to see it on the next rotation going on. Because my pan was so hot, it didn't really take about a minute. I would say about 45 seconds. If you do not have a heavy bottom pan, it's just gonna be a lot harder for it to cook evenly when it comes to your searing. Turn that down just a little bit so I don't have to yell at you guys. Oh yeah, look at that color. So we'll see what happens here. Just slightly rotating it here and there. Majority of it is, again, going to be cooked in the oven at 425 degrees. Once we're done with this pork, searing it, we're gonna put it aside in the plate, and then we're gonna saute these apples and onions. So it's gonna be really yummy. As you can see how the tying kept the meat together, better in place. Right here, there's like an opening. Alexa, timer off. So that's the timer for me to go ahead and shake the sweet potatoes again. So I'm going to go ahead and retoss those. I have my conventional oven right next to me. Alexa, timer for 10 minutes. It's a beautiful color we're getting on this pork tenderloin. I'm really curious how it's going to taste because I've never cooked it this way. That sous vide just makes it like butter. It just melts in your mouth how tender and juicy it is. So this is a very fast approach from what I'm used to. Give it about 20 more seconds here, and then I'm going to move it aside and put it in this beautiful Minnie Mouse plate I have. Okay. Very beautiful color we have going on there. So now what we're going to do is I'm getting the apples and onions. Okay, so now that we got the pork tenderloin out, we're going to add another tablespoon of olive oil, which I already did, and then we're going to pour, oops, spilling it. Ow. That hurts. And get these apples and onions in here. And get these nice and sauteed. We want the apples to start turning like a brown color. Not from being out from cutting, but from actually being sauteed. So I'm going to take some onions out because it's not fitting in my pan, unfortunately. It smells actually really well. Okay, we got a little render with this now. And then we also need to sprinkle a teaspoon of salt and pepper, which once I get these a little bit down, I'll do that. Okay. Sorry, I went to go get my pepper and salt. Sprinkle, 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 sprinkle. Huh? Yeah. Once this goes in the oven, I would say about no longer than 20 minutes. So some of our apples are really brown. Just trying to mix that salt and that pepper up. Well, that apple's really cooked. So we want to be doing this for about a good 5 minutes. I'm going to try to heat down to medium. Definitely constantly stir so you're not burning your apples like I am. From here point out, once you get your 5 minutes of your apples and onions cooking, you're going to put it in the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes until you reach 145 degrees in temperature of the pork tenderloin. So depending on how your oven cooks will determine how long you're going to be cooking. Get that in there. While this is still cooking, I'm going to start measuring my my apple cider vinegar, and I'm going to be measuring the chicken stock, apple juice. Okay. So for the chicken stock HEB brand, I get it because it's the cheapest and it actually has really good flavor. You're going to need 1 cup of chicken broth, chicken stock. It doesn't say bone broth though. Okay, we got that ready. Then we're going to need half a cup of orange juice. I left my measuring cup over here. And again, this is unsweetened, no sugar added, apple juice. And then we're gonna do 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. Okay, so let's go ahead and start pouring. This is the chicken stock, the 1 cup. Some came out. To the apple juice. And then I got my apple cider vinegar. We gotta do 2 tablespoons of the apple cider vinegar. 1, 2. Interesting. Never made pork tenderloin with apple cider vinegar. So I'm assuming this is gonna have quite a bit of flavor. Okay, once we did that, now we're gonna put our pork tenderloin on top of everything. Just like that, and then we're gonna put it in the oven, again, for about 10 to 15 minutes, depending on how your oven cooks. Do that. And then once we put this in the oven, we're also going to check on the sweet potatoes and see how they came out, or if they need to go in a little longer. Okay, so we're gonna see how these sweet potatoes came out. It's been in there for about a good 30 minutes. They look good. I'm gonna keep the temperature off and just leave it in there so it stays nice and warm. And then, as you can see, we have the pork tenderloin in the oven on the medium rack. Alrighty, let's see what happens in 10 minutes. All right, so during this 10-minute process, I've been able to clean up my kitchen because it was crazy. And we got about less than a minute left to see how this pork tenderloin is going to come out. We need to leave it in another 5 more minutes. Once your pork tenderloin is fully cooked at the 145-degree mark that you're looking for, you want it to rest for about 5 minutes, and then you can go ahead and dig into that bad boy. I still have the sweet potatoes staying warm in our conventional oven. Those are ready. They look great. We'll see if they taste great. And I'm about to pull out our sweet potato, or what is it called? Our pork tenderloin. Oh, there's the alarm. Let's go check it out. Alexa, timer off. Let's go see what we have to work with real quick. Okay, so again, that color we got was from searing this pork tenderloin. Nice and sizzly. Doesn't really smell like much. So let me get my pot holders and check this temperature. Okay, so as you can see, I just pulled it out of the oven. Let's check what this is reading at. Taking some time. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it in there another, probably about 4 more minutes, and then we'll go from there, because we are not getting, see if you can see it. If you can see it, it looks like we're slightly under the 140. So I'm gonna leave it in there for about another 4 to 5 minutes and go from there. All right, so the pork tenderloin has reached its internal temperature that we need it to be. What I'm going to do right now, and it's not in the instructions, but it's in the paper, I'm going to make it look pretty with some thyme because I need to take a picture of what it looks like. And I'm pretty sure this is what Martha Stewart would do. So remember, I am your community Martha Stewart. So I'm just gonna put it on top like that. And I'm just gonna sprinkle some thyme everywhere. I mean, why wouldn't it be on the instructions, right? But it is on the picture thyme, but it doesn't say it anywhere. So I'm just gonna sprinkle all over just to make my picture look pretty, right? But I'm giving you guys the tricks right here, live on Hanging with Chrissy. Just in case you didn't know what it was, what it looked like, it's thyme, so thyme. It might have even been cooked with thyme. So let's make it look all pretty. All right. It's taking a lot of time to make it look pretty. And then we'll take a picture and then we will slice away. All right. All right, you guys, we're almost done with the first video. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is we're gonna slice this bad boy, plate it, and hopefully it comes out good. Let's see what we have to work with here. So remember, we have that rope on it. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna slice it with the rope off. So I'm just getting my scissors. And I'm just gonna cut the rope off. Held it together nice and well. And let's go ahead and cut. Oh, it's perfect. So pretty in color. Look at that, it's beautiful. Let's see if it tastes good. You can see how some of the juice is still coming out. So pork tenderloin, if you've never had it before and you're not a pork lover, it is pretty much like the filet mignon of beef, but with pork. So you are in for a treat if you've never had it. Alrighty. Now, the only way to plate a nice cuisine meal is on a HEB paper plate, okay? If you haven't got the hint, I buy a lot of things HEB. We are so fortunate to have them as our neighborhood grocery store. They do so much for the community. Alrighty, 1 second. And then I'm gonna go get some sweet potatoes. Let me run over here and get some apples and onions to finish off the plate. Okay, so I'm gonna show you two different ways how you can plate. This is how I'll plate the adults, with the apples and the onions underneath, and then the pork tenderloin on top with the sweet potatoes. And then we also have how you can do it on the side, everything all on the side. For the kids, I'll probably put apples completely separate from the onions, a little bit of sweet potatoes, and then cubed up pork tenderloin. But there you go, that's what you have. All right, so I hope you enjoyed your first time hanging with Christy and making the braised pork tenderloin with apples and onions with a side of sweet potatoes. I will be honest, it wasn't my favorite. I actually like the other recipe that I do that incorporates the sweet potatoes and the apples and the onions, and it eliminates some of the liquids that we added today. But it was a learning process. I had a lot of fun. Tomorrow we will be making lemon chicken piccata with Brussels sprouts. So if that's something you're interested in, stay tuned for tomorrow's video. Like Ellen says, be kind to one another.